I want to make sure that next week we make note that we're going to have Ingrid LeBaptiste and her mama, Sonia. They're the founders of the Chelsea Film Festival, so that's a thrill.
Great.
But tonight I'm making time for I cannot call him a friend, he's my Facebook friend, but we're not that close.
Well, we're friends.
But we're friends.
We're friends.
Do we? Are we?
Now we're
Yeah.
friends.
Now we're friends. Jared Weiss. That's how you pronounce your name?
Jared Weiss, yeah.
Jared Weiss.
Close enough, yeah.
Close enough. I met you this summer.
Yes,
Just
this
about?
summer at the Triad Theater on
Right.
72nd Street.
And you were playing?
I was playing Bob Dylan in a show, musical play called Search Paul Clayton,
That's correct.
which is about Greenwich Village folk music in the early 60s. It's about this older folk singer named Paul Clayton who kind of took Dylan under his wing.
I didn't know who he was.
No one really knows who he was.
And that's not good.
Well, yeah, it's
Right?
This show does a lot to dispel some myths about
Right.
Dylan in the early 60s, and it's a true story about this guy, Paul Clayton. He was the most recorded folk singer in America from, I guess, 1956 through the early 60s, and he had, a couple of hits, but nothing really commercial. And our play shows how he falls in love with Bob Dylan, and he teaches Dylan the tricks of the trade, and we show how Dylan's genius wasn't necessarily as a songwriter. He was a great songwriter, genius songwriter, but his business acumen was even better because he would take all these tricks that he learned from Paul Clayton and he was able to copyright his music and make a ton of money off of it. So
It's an incredible story. When I saw you, I was invited by Alan Harris, bringing my girl to the equation. She was the one who said, Sissy, you have to come and see this show. You need to sit down and enjoy this music. Every performer, can we name them all?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, sure.
Was amazing.
It's Alan Harris.
Alan Harris.
Who plays the Reverend Gary Davis.
My dear friend, my boy, he was so good. He was so funny.
He's fantastic. He plays the blind guitar playing Reverend Gary Davis, who's a great folk seminal person of the 60s. Who else do we have? We had Michael Lanning as Dave Van Ronk, who's a very big figure in the early Greenwich Village folk scene. That movie, Inside Llewyn Davis, is based on Dave Van Ronk's life. My wonderful, talented friend, Irini Savasti. She played Susie Rotolo, who's Bob's first love interest when he gets to town, and Joan Baez.
And Joan Baez, she was amazing.
I'm not going to forget Jamie Babbitt, who she plays Carlo Rotolo and a couple of the other players, and of course Peter Oilo, who played Paul Clayton. Oh, and of course I should mention Larry Mullen, Larry Mullen's brilliant playwright.
He's the man. He's the man. I interviewed him back, I guess, like 2 weeks right after the show.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
I brought him. Well, we were upstairs, but he's knowledgeable, man.
He's a great guy. He knows his stuff.
So knowledgeable.
The fact that he did so much research on the show, and it's true. We're not trying to shove anything down anyone's throat. It's a true story that has never been told, and that's why I think it's incredibly interesting and incredibly important, and especially important to me because I get to play my idol.
I can't. Let's talk about that. When you got the opportunity, when you got the email, how was it? I mean, you were scared a little bit because that's a pretty intimidating role. He's an iconic.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan is. Everybody knows who he is.
Yeah, it's like
it's like portraying Muhammad Ali. You can't.
I
right?
feel like the role I feel like Larry wrote the role for me, honestly, because I've loved Dylan my entire life, and how did I feel? I felt fantastic. A friend of mine told me about this audition. They said, you should go in. You love Dylan. They need someone to play Bob Dylan and play guitar and harmonica. So, I crashed the EPA, and long story short, I realized that things were looking good when I was the only guy at the callback for Bob Dylan. So
no kidding, really, the only one.
Only one at the callback who was reading for Bob Dylan. So I figured that that bode well for me. But I was ecstatic. I was thrilled to do it. I had no idea what it was going to be, but it was a total life-changing experience, and getting to delve into the characters is really hard because he's an icon, so you can't just do a straight-up imitation or anything. You can't try and copycat his voice. For me, it was trying to use my voice through the Bob Dylan lens and try and figure out what he wants in every scene, because it was very fun for me, because in this play,
Thinking out loud. I love it that you're thinking.
Dylan pretty much is, he's always right throughout the course of the show. He always thinks he's right, which is...
You can't dislike him.
No, well, that's for the audience to decide.
Well, but from my point of view, I found him extremely charming, but no matter what, you know, because it's like you said, it's a true story. So you see Bob Dylan in a different light.
Yeah, we see him grow from, you know, a young kind of puppy nipping at the heels of the folk stars of the day, to more assured Bob Dylan, and then, you know, kind of a little egotistical, pompous Bob Dylan towards the end, where he gets with the sunglasses and he starts becoming a real chameleon. So we kind of touch on that at the end.
Right, subtly. It is done subtly, but it's clear.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Paul Clayton
Neither
was.
did I.
I have no idea.
Neither did I. Yeah, he's tragically he died in 1967. He only lived to, I guess, the age of 36 or so. I guess he was about 10 years older than Dylan was. But yeah, while Dylan was able to change with the times, which is one of the things we talk about in the play, being able to change with the times, Paul Clayton wasn't. He was...
Yeah, he was pretty much in his own world.
He was in his own world by
he
the end.
refused to, like, let, you know, the world take over and say, okay, this is what you got to do, and how are you going to do it? He wanted to do it his way.
Yeah, you know, I think he was very, I think he was so infatuated with Dylan that he got really confused, I think, about what he wanted, because he was, I don't know if you want to call him gay or bisexual, but, you know, he had male and female partners, Paul Clayton did, and he really loved Bob Dylan. And one of the things that we discuss in the play is they take a road trip down to New Orleans, and whether or not they did something together, that's for other people to think about. But we like to raise that question. Did it happen? Did something happen between them?
Yeah.
Why? Because they were really close friends, Bob and Paul, and it was amazing just exploring that relationship.
Right. He seemed to be, Paul was unwilling. That's the word that I was looking for.
He's unwilling to let go of Bob.
To let him go, but unwilling to give up his own nature. Like, he was very much, based on what I saw, I never read the play, but based on what I saw, my experience was, this is a guy he was a true artist. I don't know if we can attempt to define what the true artist is and what it means to be a true artist. This is a subjective matter.
We could talk about that for about 5 hours.
Right, and we can on and on and on, but he was very much unwilling to give up his own nature.
Yes, and that might have been his downfall, because then he succumbed to drugs and abuse, self-abuse and things like that, and ended up, you know, crashing and burning. So. Right.
Let's talk about your background. You're an actor, you're a writer, you're a composer, you're a musician, you're a singer, man. You're an artist. In my opinion, you are.
I try to live like it, yeah. And as an artist, I guess, what are we trying to do? We're trying to be truthful, so.
Right.
Everything we do, try to be truthful.
Let's talk about your background, your mama, your mother. Let's talk about your mother, please, and your dad. Your dad is in the construction business.
Yes, he
builds
hotels in Midtown now.
Love it.
But he built the company from the ground up with his brother and grandfather. My grandfather, great-grandfather, goes back a ways. But my mother was a musical theater actress, and she was always singing around the house, and so she influenced me a great deal. A great deal.
Do you remember your first memory when you can just look back in time and see your mom singing, where she was putting some makeup on, or in the shower, or maybe doing some cleaning around the house? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember exactly, actually. I was 3.5 years old, and she was singing along to Barbara Cook's Disney album, and I remember it incredibly well. Yes, that's the first memory of my mother singing I think I have.
And that was the moment, you think?
The moment that I knew this is what I wanted to do?
You were too little. But
you know what? I think I always sang. I was just always sung. I was always singing as a kid because my mother sang. So I was always singing. I was playing guitar. You know, I was raised in Greenwich Village. I lived on 30 East 9th Street in University, above the Knickerbocker Bar and Grill with those, you know, NYU flags hanging down. And
Yeah.
so, you know, arts and culture were always kind of there. And I guess around the age of 11 or 12, I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to be a singer because this is what I love. I love singing. And then I started writing songs and stories, and yeah, just trying to grow as much as possible in all facets of my artistic life.
Would you say that singing comes easily to you?
I don't.
Honestly, come on, Jay.
Nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy, but it comes easier than most other things in life.
Because it seemed to be, I'm looking at you in the eye and listening to you, but you look good in the camera. And I'm checking the camera shots, and you're looking good. You're looking good. Because it seems to me that when you're playing Bob Dylan, everything came so easy.
It was not easy.
That's what it seemed like. You know what I'm saying? When you go and see a ballet, and you see all those dancers and performers, and you see them executing their craft in such a high fashion, that it's not that you don't dare to attempt how tough it is, but we're not supposed to see that. And even if we're willing to see the process, that's entirely up to you. It's your calling if you want to get to know, you know, the actor, the performer, the musician. But the process is something that obviously...
The process is always just that, a process. It takes time to delve into the character. I mean, you know, approaching this, you know, I obviously did a ton of research about Dylan, which I've been doing, I guess, since I was 12 anyway. But I was just going through the play and figuring out what he wants from every scene. That was the first, you know, like standard acting thing that I want to do. You know, what do I want in this scene? Why am I in this scene?
Right.
But then it comes to, okay, how does Bob Dylan sound? And
what a challenge.
Finding Dylan's voice was the most challenging thing, I think, for me. You say it comes up, looks like it's easy. Thank you, because it's not. It's really to get technical. It's about vocal placement, where literally where I feel the vibrations in my resonance chamber, so to speak.
Right.
You know, Dylan, he's a little back here, so you know, migrate back here, but it's still me talking. You know, if when I was talking to you, and it's all about migrating the sound, really.
You have to listen to ours, I guess, because obviously you grew up. You know that you are familiar with Bob Dylan, but when you were getting ready for this work, you're obsessed with the material. You have to just concentrate on the play. How did it work for you? Sometimes it's easy to get overwhelmed, right?
Yeah. You know, at the beginning, I never really felt overwhelmed. I was always, I think, I don't mean to say that cocky or anything,
No. Are you kidding me? I'm the one paying the compliment to you. I couldn't believe it when I saw you on stage. I was having the Coke and Pat, I was sitting next to Pat. Next thing you popped out and you opened your mouth and I said to Pat, is this guy for real? I mean, that's how good you were. That's how great you were.
I appreciate that.
And you believe me, right? I come from here, from the inside.
No, I believe you.
I don't talk bullshit.
I probably wouldn't be here if you didn't think that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
The process was a lot of fun because I got to really explore how to create this voice and character. And once you do the homework, you do it, and then, you know, you forget about it, and then it starts to come naturally, just like anything else, like you said, like a ballet dancer or
like a fighter. Even my husband said, you're training fighting, you're sparring, and you're doing your running, and you're getting ready for a fight, and you got months of tough training and going up and down with the weight, but the day of the fight, all that work is behind.
You've done the homework.
You've done your homework.
It's time to go, yeah.
It's time to just go and have fun. So working with the actors, all of you guys, it seemed to me that you have obviously great energy. The casting was right on.
Yeah, I mean, our director was wonderful with us, Randall Myler.
Yes.
It was fantastic. He and Larry Mullen cast the show, and Yeah, I think you're right. It was perfect casting.
He was perfectly casted in the ensemble too. So it was a little crazy behind the scenes when you guys were doing it because it seemed to me it was a lot of songs. It doesn't get confusing, does it get crazy? What happens?
I think that's
behind the
what you were
wings.
seeing was a function of how small that theater was where we were. We had a very small backstage area there, so I think that's why that's who you saw a little just not a lot of room back there. Literally. Changing room the size of a closet, maybe. But you know, luckily, I was on stage most of the time, so I didn't have to deal with it.
And you see, you were so relaxed. And the other guy who played Paul Clayton, he's in Chicago. He lives in Chicago.
Yes,
you
Peter
said.
Oilo. Yes.
Peter, I mean, we need to bring him. I have to bring him here. When does he come to New York? I mean, I would like even everybody. Like, in all fairness, I want to have the entire cast.
Well, hey, you know, it's looking for a new home right now.
Yes.
We're trying to get it produced. We have a bunch of people interested, and we're just, you know, we're looking for the right spot. So when that happens, I'm sure the whole cast would love to come.
This is something will be interesting even for the public theater, man. Are you kidding me?
From your mouth.
From my mouth. Truly, honestly, because this is, I truly believe that this is something that everybody should see. This is so powerful and moving, and you learn to see Bob Dylan. I'm not an expert with Bob Dylan. There's a lot of things that I don't know, but I know there's a lot of stuff. When I saw the work, number one, I want to know who's Paul Clayton. Who is he?
Well, we take an hour and a half to explain it to you.
And it's pretty much hour and a half to explain. You see the entire journey, and you see his humanity and his dreams, and you know, he was a pure artist.
Yeah, he was. He was great, and I think he just wasn't ready to. Paul Clayton just wasn't ready to move with the times. He was stuck, and he was just stuck.
He's stuck. Well, what's your opinion? What's your opinion in terms of Bob Dylan before the show and after the show? Something has changed or remains the same? Or Bob Dylan is.
My opinion? Well, I still love him. I love Bob Dylan. I know a lot more about him.
Right. Can you comprehend his nature a little bit better from the playwright's perspective?
Well, I don't know if I can truly say that I understand Bob Dylan more, but I feel like I have a better understanding of actually me from doing Bob Dylan, and I feel like you know, it's. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth here.
Please say what else. I'm just writing things down because I want to make sure that I don't forget because ideas come to my head. Tell me.
Yeah, I think I learned more about myself doing this show than I did about Dylan. But what I did learn about Dylan, incredibly interesting facts and things about just his. I really want people to come to the show because I don't want to give it all away. You
right.
know?
But we're talking about, hey, what the hell? We're talking about it. We're talking about it.
There's things like, you know, the show is about love and plagiarism, and Bob Dylan may or may not have, you know, taken a few songs and lyrics and music from other people and just slapped his copyright on it, which is one of the things that we talk about in the play. The song "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," which is one of Dylan's biggest hits. I won't say stole. He appropriated the melody and the lyrical structure from Paul Clayton, but Paul Clayton tells Dylan in the play, you know, folk music by its nature is the product of plagiarism. And he heard that from Woody Guthrie, the godfather of folk music. And it turns out that Paul Clayton had taken that song. It's called "Who'll Buy You Ribbons," and he had based that off an old Irish folk melody called "Who'll Buy You Chickens." So when he tried to sue Dylan for using his material, well, you know, Dylan had Albert Grossman as his manager in his corner.
Right.
And so he had the lawyers, and he said, well, guess what? You know, you took it from this old Irish folk melody, and you took it, and it goes all the way back to Adam.
And it goes all the way back to Adam.
So
that's correct.
It's like the whole idea is, and it's not, I hesitate to call this a jukebox musical because I don't think you'd hear any of these songs in a jukebox.
Right.
They're old folk songs. I mean, there's a couple of original tunes that we do, but we use old folk songs by, you know, the Reverend Gary Davis and Dave Van Ronk and Johnny Cash and just old folk musicians to progress the plot. Songs that most people probably have never heard before, but were seminal folk songs at the time. So they help progress the plot, and we have a lot of fun doing it because the actors sing and play at the same time.
Yeah, you guys were playing with acting.
Yeah.
I mean, each one of you, and like I said, the casting was right on. Yeah. Before we move to another subject,
Sure.
I want to talk about what you're working on now. Number one, the feedback from the audience when they came up to see the work. What did they say? What did people say?
Everyone who came to it seemed to like it, seemed to enjoy it. Well, I don't know everyone who came to it. I hope they did. But
yeah.
The people who came seemed to really enjoy themselves. I think we could have done a little better job of getting the word out there, but that's not my department, you know.
But it's about making noise. Hey, this is a big city. Everybody comes here.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff, and a lot of great, talented people are creating art on the daily basis.
Yes.
So we need to bring more attention to this kind of work, right? Because the media obviously is already crowded with all the big stars, and I understand that it's a whole mechanism behind press, but at the same time, I think it's our duty to support. This is a platform. You know, this show right here is a hell of a learning experience for me, but this is about the guest, even though I talk too much.
It's okay, you don't talk too much.
It's about the guest and the quality of the guest. You know what I'm saying? It's about the quality, because I can go a little crazy sometimes with my talking, but learning to just sit back and take a note. You said that you discovered more about yourself. What was the main thing that you discovered about you?
I think I was really able to relax on stage a lot.
Okay.
With Dylan, just because I gained a whole new a sense of self-confidence from doing this. Because in the beginning, yes, I guess it was a little daunting. Oh my God, I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to just be a carbon copy imitation of someone doing Bob Dylan's voice. But so I learned a lot about what I can do, and mind over body, telling yourself you can do things when your body doesn't think that it can. Good.
When you got the gig, when you got the part, you called your mama?
Yeah. Yes.
You
definitely.
called your mom immediately, right?
Yeah.
Most and what did she said? First thing she said?
She said, congratulations.
Of course. Now you're ready with the homework. The rehearsal process, for how long you guys rehearsed this piece?
The first time we did it last summer, 2014, on Martha's Vineyard at the Martha's Vineyard Playhouse. We rehearsed maybe a week and a half, and then we ran.
That's it?
And then we ran for 3.5 weeks.
How do you do it?
Maybe
how
2
do
weeks.
You rehearse for? How do you guys do it?
Maybe 2 weeks.
Maybe 2 weeks. Help me, Lord.
You
with
have
all those songs.
People. See, well, here's the thing. You got to have people who want to do it and who know the
material.
Know the material coming in. Like,
Right.
If you're an actor, you're supposed to do your homework.
Oh, absolutely.
Come in. It's not like film or TV where you don't have to have the whole script memorized because you're constantly getting script changes and stuff.
Right.
But with a play, I think it's prudent to go in knowing the play. And if you're going to be rehearsing music on day one, at least know what you're going to